All right. Hi, everyone. We're going to give everyone 15 to 20 seconds to join because typically I find that it takes 15 to 20 seconds for people to get the notification and come on. I can see how many viewers we have, so I'm just keeping an eye on it. Meanwhile, if you hear, just a reminder, if you type questions in the comments, I can see them and I can take those questions as long as you're typing them on my YouTube page, on my Facebook page, on Milton Talk. If you're watching it somewhere else because someone else has shared it, which is awesome. But if you're watching it somewhere else, then I might not get the question. So if you have questions that you want to ask, jump on YouTube, my Facebook page, or Milton Talk and ask questions there. I see some of the viewers have joined in, so I am going to really quickly bring in Sue Lawrenson. I met her a few years ago through Community Foundation of Halton North, and I really like what they were doing. And I kind of wanted to share with everybody else because the question naturally came up over I want to say late last year. At some point last year, someone was asking, "Hey, wouldn't it be a good idea if you could do something like this?" I'm like, "Aha! There is actually someone already doing something like that." So before I bring her on, I do want to apologize for my casual attire. I'm kind of locked out of my bedroom because my wife uses that as her office as well. She's working late, so you're stuck with whatever I'm wearing. Alrighty, let's bring Sue on. Hi, how's it
Hi,
going?
I'm doing very well, and thank you so much for having me on tonight. I'm really excited to share the Community Foundation of Halton North story.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining. I do this. I plan. I try to do this every month, but it happens whenever, every 2 3 months. So tell me a bit about yourself and how you got involved with Community Foundation of Halton North and what the foundation does.
Absolutely. So, to begin with, my name is Sue Lawrenson, and I'm the Executive Director of the Community Foundation of Halton North. The Community Foundation of Halton North has been around for about 10 years. We celebrated our 10th anniversary last year. And what it is community foundations have three goals. We grow endowments, we grant back into the community, and we foster philanthropic leadership. So how we do this is that generous philanthropists in the area, and I mean that's anyone can be a philanthropist. They make a donation to the Community Foundation of Halton North. That donation is not spent but invested, and it is that investment that creates revenue, and it's from the revenue that we're able to grant to local charitable causes. But the beautiful thing about this is it happens forever, every year, forever and ever for generations to come. So that's the first two. We grow endowments and we grant back into the community. The third one, by fostering philanthropic leadership, is we try to connect with all the charities. We try to connect with all the sectors to know where are the gaps in the community. Where can fund holders and donors support so that their support will have real meaning, and also continuing the conversation about philanthropy like today. This session itself is fostering philanthropic leadership, having people understand a little bit more about the charitable sector in Milton, and understanding how the Community Foundation of Halton North plays a role.
So you said anyone can do this. How can anyone do this? Doesn't it take a lot to set up a trust, set up a fund?
Absolutely. Absolutely not. Anyone can be a philanthropist, and that's the beautiful thing about community foundations. Is if someone has, let's say, $500 that they want to give, and but they want to make a real difference, what they can do is they can give that $500 to the Community Foundation of Halton North. It's, like I said, it's invested, and then they can every year add to it. And if someone's not in a position themselves to continually adding to it, it can be used for celebration gifts. So if there's a birthday coming up or a special birthday, make a donation to my fund, help build that fund. And so they don't have to be $1 million gifts. They can be modest gifts of $500, 1,000, to start a fund with the Community Foundation of Halton North, and then it grows and it grows and it grows. That first year, the rate of return, yeah, you look at it and think, oh, well, I just donated 500, and all I'm granting out is a small portion of that. But it's all about the long game. It's all about that generational giving, and we are starting to see significant grant returns that didn't anticipate in those first few years, but now we have, well, we've given out over $850,000 back to the community. That's through several programs, but through our funds, through some government initiatives, and we can talk about that later.
So wait, but you said you're only 10 years old. You've done $850,000 in just 10 years?
I'm sorry.
You mentioned that Community Foundation of Halton North is only 10 years old.
Yes.
And this $850,000 of outlay that came out, it happened in just 10 years. That's pretty amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we've had some very generous supporters who have helped build our fund. When I'm just going to say, when we first started, our endowment was at zero. So when we started with an idea, most community foundations start because there's a benefactor who is leaving money, or let's say the town or municipality has a certain pot of money that they want to start a community fund. But we started with an idea. And over the past 10 years, we've grown our fund, and we don't have our final numbers yet for 2021. We're still waiting for our Q4, but we're hovering around the $5 million mark. So every year, 3.5% goes back into the community through local charities, from that $5 million. And that will happen forever, forever and ever. That's if no more money is raised, that still happens forever, which is so wonderful. We were also very fortunate to be working with the federal government. They knew that community foundations had a really good grasp of what was happening in the community during the first wave of the pandemic. So we partnered with the federal government, and also the United Way and the Red Cross on a $300 million initiative that was nationwide. We were given, the Community Foundation of Halton North was given north of $450,000 to distribute within the communities of Milton and Halton Hills, because our catchment area is also Halton Hills. And I'm hoping that the federal government is understanding the importance of community foundations and our local knowledge and our reach within our communities. I've heard that maybe there'll be other programs. We're crossing our fingers, because it's a wonderful way to get money into the community. And if there wasn't a Community Foundation of Halton North, Milton and Halton Hills may have not received the type of support that they were able to receive.
So 3.5% of 5 million is what, $175,000 that basically supports a lot of programs.
Yes, yes. And the way funds work is there are various ways that people can set up their funds. So a donor can come in and say, I like the Humane Society. That is what I want to give to. And so forever and a day, their money will go, their grant will go to that organization. But you're not just limited to that. Somebody might say, I like I like Art Sparks program, and I like the hospital, and I like Townsend Smith Foundation. So they could say, okay, I want to split my gift 3 ways every year, and we can do that as well. Or they may say, the arts were really important to me, and I usually use this expression, this example, because the arts were very important to me when I was growing up. So somebody might say the arts are very important to me, and I want to support the art community. I want Milton to have a vibrant arts community, but I don't have one particular charity that I'm partial to. I just want to support the arts. That's called a field of interest gift. And so a fund holder can set up a fund and say, I want it to go to the arts community. That's when our grants committee gets involved. We put out a proposal to the arts community saying we have a pot of money, and we entertain proposals. Grants committee will make a recommendation to the board, and the board will make the final decision, and then the money goes out to whatever organization is chosen that year. Another fund that is very popular is a donor advised fund. So many fund holders don't know where they want their money to go just yet. They haven't settled on a particular charity or a particular field of interest. but they don't want it to be unrestricted. They want to have some say in where that money is going to go, and it's called a donor advised fund. So each and every year, after we know how much can be granted, we go back to the donors and let them know, and we also provide them with some information about what the challenges are in the community, where we see there are gaps in the community, what's happening with different sectors, providing them with information. Of course, it is the donor's choice, but part of our job to foster philanthropic leadership is to understand where there are gaps and challenges in the community. Then the donor will decide where that money is going to go that year. Now, one of the restrictions is we do have to give to a registered charity. That's one of the restrictions for all community foundations. It has to be a qualified donee, which is most of them are registered charities. And so we make sure that that qualification is met. And we have to give out a minimum of 3.5% each and every year. Those are two CRA regulations that we must follow. The last gift that a person could consider part of their fund is what I talked about before, unrestricted giving. That means they're going to set up their fund in such a way that the community foundation will decide where that money is going to be best needed, and we will put out requests for proposals. We'll understand the gaps in the community. We'll assess where the money is needed, and then the community foundation will make the decision as to where that support needs to go. So it really is all about the donor. You can be as active with your fund, or you can just say, here, I just want to help my community.
That's amazing, and I missed calling out that point. So, as a donor, if you set up a fund and you're collecting money, like you mentioned, instead of giving me a birthday gift, put money towards my fund. The donor can decide where that fund goes as long as it's a registered charity.
That's right. That's right. And so it's really exciting to be able to support those causes each and every year, to choose different causes, because there may be one year. I mean, the pandemic showed us that there were that first year there was so much insecurity regarding food and housing, and a lot of money went towards food insecurity organizations, and also we are starting to realize the long-term mental health challenges that have come out of the pandemic. And so we're supporting a lot of mental health organizations this year, as well as domestic abuse, which was something that was really surprising to me that it happened because of the pandemic, that it became sort of more to the forefront of what was going on. So we also supported domestic violence and domestic abuse organizations to help people in those situations. It wasn't something that we thought of a few years ago. And so having a donor advised fund or having an unrestricted fund allows the community foundation to help, like I've said in the past, help fill those gaps, because community foundation celebrated their 100th anniversary in Canada last year. And I am sure that the people in 1921 had no idea the challenges that were going to happen in our communities in 2021. So by having an unrestricted fund, it allows the community foundation to help with the vitality of the community that's happening today.
It's amazing, and I'm surprised that we have such an amazing fund, such an amazing organization that exists, but most people don't know about it, unfortunately.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, we've been around 10 years. Community foundations have been in Canada over 100 years. And there are 191 community foundations across the nation. So each of us are our own entities. We have our own board of directors, and our board of directors is made up of individuals from both Milton and Halton Hills. We have our own constitutions and bylaws. We run our own organization, but we're all connected through a network, and we're all members of the Community Foundation of Canada. And so we can rely on each other with best practices and different things like that. So while we're a small organization and we're on our own, we're not, because we're dealing and talking to people and connecting with people across the nation.
And how many? So can you tell us about some of the charities that the Community Foundation has supported, or is that confidential?
No, it's not confidential at all. And actually, I printed out my list here because I always forget some of the charities because we've just supported so many right now, and they're all so important. So some of the charities that we supported this year were the Children's Aid Society of Halton, Community Living North Halton, Halton Food for Thought, the Halton Hills Public Library. We supported the Halton Learning Foundation. We supported the Milton District Hospital Foundation. We support the Milton Historical Society. Some of the other groups, we supported the Townsend Smith Foundation, who are trying to bring hospice care to North Halton. We've also supported in the past Meals on Wheels in Milton. We've supported Milton Transitional Housing. We supported the Philharmonic Orchestra. One of our restricted funds is, and I was just talking to the United Way today, it's called the Mario Belvedere Fund for United Way, named after the former CAO, Mario Belvedere. And that is a fund that goes to the United Way and is restricted to be spent in Milton. And that fund was established. And so each and every year, there's no application for that. It just automatically goes down to the United Way, and they distribute it to worthy causes in Milton. The House of David we supported in Milton here. We supported the Canadian Caribbean Association of Halton. We are let's see. I just named a few. I can go further.
Oh,
But
that's amazing. I just wanted people to get an idea of the
yeah,
breadth of services that this community
absolutely.
foundation is supporting. It's
And
amazing.
conservation Halton. I'm going to bring that up too. So there's arts and culture. There's environment. We have just started a couple of scholarships. They're not. They're just starting, so I won't talk too much about that. But education, we could support that. We support a lot of health and welfare, a lot of social services, and of course the hospitals. And we've supported the Georgetown Hospital as well as the Milton Hospital. And But that's what sets us apart from some of the other charities like the United Way, is that we can also support places of worship. We can support arts and culture. We can support the environment. We can support sports and recreation as long as it's a qualified donee.
I actually didn't know you could support places of worship. That's something I'm just learning about right now.
Absolutely.
Uh,
So most of the places of worship, because of the members giving, they have a charitable number, and yes, we can support a place of worship.
That's amazing. So why would every single place of worship not have a fund?
Uh, uh, well, I don't know. I think it's a great idea. But what it is the reason the community foundation can help, and how the community foundation can help is we have the expertise in endowment giving. We have the expertise in being able to ensure that our investments are going to garner the type of revenue so that the investment will pay out that 3.5% grant. Of course, the community foundation does take a portion back for our operations, and anything over and above gets put back into the fund. We are still, like I said, we're still waiting on our final returns for this year, but we're hovering well north of 10% from last year. So there's plenty of support to go out to the community to help pay the operational support from the community foundation. And then that extra goes back into the fund. So each and every year, now you're giving 3.5% of a larger fund, and capital hasn't been contributed to it.
And
And
it
that's
just
not
keeps
just,
growing forever.
it does. I have a chart. I'm just going to I'm not going to pull it up or show it, but I'm going to look at it myself just so I can make sure I've got the numbers right. I have a chart here that the growth of an endowment, and if any of our listeners are interested, I can certainly email this to them. But let's say someone starts out with 10,000, and I like to use these round numbers because then I can do the math. If we looked at a very, very minimal 7% rate of return, with a 3.5% withdrawal, operational support, that first year, so $10,000 goes in, earns revenue for that first year. So the second year, a $350 grant is given out. Again, I'm going to go back to what I said to begin with. This is all about longevity. This is all about that long game. So you might think I just gave you 10,000, you're only giving out 350. Wait for it. Um, with 7% interest, your fund now has grown as well. So your fund is approximately $10,050. So let's skip forward 10 years. Your cumulative output would be about $3,500. So you would have granted $3,500 within 10 years, and your principal now is about 10,500. Skip forward 50 years, your principal is now almost 13,000, and you've given out 19,000. So in 50 years time, you've given out twice as much as what you originally put into your investment. And because community foundations have been around for 100 years, I put the 100 years in there. You will have awarded $45,000 in grants in 100 years. You still have that initial 10,000 principal in there, plus it's actually over 16,000. Now we can't we don't have a crystal ball, so we don't know if the market's going to stay steady at 7%, but we've had some really wonderful years so far in our very short history, and we've had a couple of years where there's been a decline, but it's all about the long game. It's all about over time. And if the community foundation started in 1921 in Canada, they went through a depression, they went through World War II. They've gone through all sorts of recessions, and they're still going strong and supporting their charities and local communities across Canada.
That's incredible. So before I ask you the wrap up question, how many, give or take, approximately funds do you have
We
set
have
up already?
we have 16 funds right now. So it's actually very small because, again, we're still in the evolution of community foundations. We're still considered new. So we have about 16 funds. And like I said, we're hovering at about $5 million in endowments. And we're looking to grow that. The largest community foundation in Canada is in Vancouver, and they have over $1 billion. So there are some rather large ones. And there are Toronto. I can't tell you how much is in there right now. It was $500 million the last time I heard the figures. So there are some very large community foundations out there, of course, supporting very large communities. So we are doing really well. We're as long as we've been in existence.
No, I'm actually pretty impressed. I do have one question before I ask you for your final thoughts. You
Sure.
mentioned scholarships.
Yes.
How does that work? Because scholarships are not going to a registered charity per se. They're
Well,
going
the
to
scholarship would go to, let's say, well, Laurier is coming to Milton. So the donor would say, I want to establish a scholarship at Laurier. So then the money would go to Wilfrid Laurier University. The terms and conditions would be, we would look at the terms and conditions with the donor, with myself, and let's say Laurier, and then they would choose the recipient. And so, I mean, you can set up those terms and conditions to say, I want it to go to a Milton student, or I want it to go to an Indigenous student, or I want it to go for a student studying art history. So again, the fund holder can decide that, but they would be working directly with the university or college, and universities are qualified donees. They have a registered charitable number.
This has been incredibly informative for me personally. I mean, I'm sure for others listening as well, but me personally, there are a lot of things I didn't know. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us before we reach the end?
Oh, there's probably lots that I would like to share with you, but I think this is a really, it's a very simple concept, but it does take time to sink in. It took time when I first started learning about this as well. But somebody succinctly said it to me at a presentation I made. They said, so let me get this straight. I give you money, it's invested, I can choose the charity, and it happens forever. And I said, yeah. And they said, why doesn't everybody do this? So anyway, it's just a very, very it's one of those things, though. It is all about the long game, and it's a lot of it is tied into people's wills and bequests when they're doing their estate planning, talking to their trusted financial advisor to decide what's, if they want to leave money to a charity. This is an option as well, because you can support many organizations. You can leave it unrestricted. You can support your favorite cause and be able to leave that legacy to support that cause forever.
I can't believe I did that. I put the website right here in the banner. Is that the right URL? Is there any other place they can go to get information?
They can go, yeah, no, this is perfect. CFHN.ca. And my name is in there as well, my email, our phone number. And as I said, I'm the only staff person. So when you do call, you get me. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. We do have a Facebook page, but most of the information is on our website.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you so much for taking time out. Now I'll have a video saved, so anytime somebody asks about it, I can send them the video and ask them to watch it.
Perfect.
Well, thank you very much. And if there are other questions that come up, I'll direct them to you. Otherwise, I hope you have a great evening, and I hope you're staying safe.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing you again in person, and I look forward to talking to anyone who's on this stream tonight, and being able to help them with their philanthropic wishes.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone. If you have any questions afterwards, please go to Community Foundation of Halton North website directly. And otherwise, you can just post questions in the comments, and I'll make sure that Sue gets them. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time. Bye.